We finally got there.
After some short technical issues, Brother Dan Kirkman has come to save the day.
What are brothers good for if they're not going to help you out with microphones at short notice?
Yeah.
Another episode of the Boogie podcast. Ryan Hardy.
Good to be here, Josh.
It's great to have you. It's great to have you in Tuncurry, or Foster now.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a surf at I won't name the name, some locals might get pissed off, but yeah, we just had a good surf this morning. What did you think?
Oh, I was loving it.
Yeah?
Just coming off the back of this coaching tour up and down the East Coast and getting to have just a free surf, a couple of mates out, just totally engulfed in nature, which is kind of one of the blessings of surfing here in Foster.
Yeah.
Like you're just in amongst these white sand beaches, turquoise blue water, massive cliffs, all covered in forest. Yeah, it's awesome. And then had my family on the beach.
Yeah.
Good vibes, catching up with old mate.
Yeah.
Josh, I haven't seen for a few years.
Yeah, we were trying to remember the last surf we had together. I can't even remember it either.
Yeah.
'Cause maybe Fronton, we were at the Fronton event in 2017.
Yeah, 2017.
But I don't know if we actually got any free surfs in, or maybe a couple at Agujeiro, but yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. For me, I mean, you most of my trips were with you back in the day.
Yeah, what are some of your memorable ones?
Well, I think when we went to Sumatra for the first time. Remember that when before Secret Sumatra was even a thing? We did that trip.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a bunch of Tahiti trips with, staying with Stews and Ben Holland and guys like that, a little bit off the beaten path, during the competitions. And, I think also that boat trip, the Tahiti boat trip,
I think that was
the
a
big
highlight.
one.
Hey? Yeah. We went on, it wasn't just your ghetto Bali,
No.
7-day charter, live off Megarang for a week.
Yeah, it was a little more fancy.
Yeah, it was it's nearly like mini cruiser style boat. And
it was
we were
awesome.
Going between islands, good crew, pumping chopes. Yeah.
Heavy jokes. So
we've had some good times.
Yeah. No, it was good to get a surfing with you. That board you're riding, I want to kick off with that because you were riding a really interesting board, and we were having a really big discussion in that surf this morning about kind of board size and design and stuff like that. I was testing out one of the Boogie Science collabs, which you can still buy if you want to support your local clubs. 43.5 is what I'm going with. I usually ride a 42. You're riding something completely different, so explain that board to the listener and to the viewer because it was really interesting.
Yeah. This is a board I've been working on over the last sort of year and a half. It's funny where it all started. I was in Ubud actually with my wife, having a couple of days away from the family. Actually, I might have just gone up for one day. And up there you get all these sort of treatments and meditation things going on. And we went to this sound bowl meditation and massage, and it was actually in there that I was just diving into this vision of surfing Canggu on this weird longer board where I was actually kneeboarding, hitting sections and jumping up to my feet midsection. It's just such a deep vision, and mixing prone with stoogie and drop knee and double knee, and I was just really amped on that, and I thought I've got to make this bigger board, and that just evolved into, after a few samples, creating this board that was still good for prone but goes sick stoogie and goes good drop knee, because since I've been doing the camps in Bali and surfing so much, and especially in majority sort of up to 6 foot conditions, a lot of beach breaks, and having the desire to drop knee and stand up boogie when it's small, as well as have a board that goes good when it's small. That's led me to ride bigger boards, and then this board is kind of my ultimate board where I feel like I can ride it in anything, and especially in that under 6 foot range, and flippers or no flippers, have a sick time in this board. So it's strong, it's 44 inches long, it has a template which does favour drop knee and stoogie, so it goes a little bit narrow into the nose and it's quite parallel in its shape and narrow for its length, and I've worked out it just goes sick for me prone, so I've just been riding it for basically since I came back from Bali in October, and I just can't get off it. I love it, man. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, as the discussion, I need to come back to the sound bowl meditation because I really didn't think you were gonna. I didn't think it was gonna come down to a vision during meditation, but that's cool. I'm gonna come back to that after this. We were talking about it, because I'm on this 43.5. A 44 for you is an easy 2-inch step up to what you used to ride, right?
Totally, yeah. Back all through the 2000s, when I had custom boards through tubes, foreplay, onto VS, I was always around the 42 mark and slightly under.
Yeah.
And then I think, it was when I was going to Bali mostly and started getting a few slightly bigger boards made, 42 and a half, 42 and 3/4. Each time I went up, it just felt like I was getting more speed off my bottom turns, making more moves, and it just felt good. So I just kept going with it.
Yeah.
And then here I am today, I'm 44, and like we were talking about this morning, I don't think I'd go below a 43 now. Maybe, and it's just something that's forever evolving, you know, trying new things, seeing what works in certain conditions. And I know, so you today were riding a 43 and a half, like, does that sort of resonate with you?
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's, you know, a lot of it comes down to a discussion I had with Mitch, you know, because Mitch, it was during the Kiama comp 2 years ago, and it was so small, it was like a 1 foot comp, and he had this 43 inch, you know, quite thick board, and myself and Jake Stone were like, can we borrow that in our heats? Like, and so we were just rotating the board.
No way.
Yeah. So all of us riding the same board, and you know, it was it made a huge difference to be able to generate speed in a 2 foot wave and actually be able to complete spins without that kind of drag. You know?
And carrying speed through moves.
Exactly.
Like spins.
Exactly. And so it's been a really big insight for me to look at these bigger boards. And even as you said, your feedback this morning for me was, you said, like, it looks like I'm drawing out longer lines. It looks like I'm putting more effort into each turn and keeping the speed throughout.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that's what you want to do in smaller waves. You want to be able to keep on going fast.
Yeah.
So it's quite a revelation. Like, why do you think we've come to this, like, why did we get to this point where it became smaller and smaller and more refined? And what's that all about? Like, how did we get there?
Well, I remember in the beginning when I had the opportunity to get customs through tubes in the late 90s, and I was riding mostly in WA where the waves are almost always sucky and powerful and fast. And I grew up on the big Moray 43-inch Moray boards, and I knew what that felt like and what it looked like on footage. You know, that I was this smaller, skinny grom getting overpowered by this massive board.
Yeah.
And then I went through some Mantas and had some sick boards, you know, some wing nuts, and then I went on to the opportunity to get customs, and I just worked out through that you know, just with my physique as well, being quite slim and tall, that it worked out that I was making my board narrower and thinner, and because I was always in WA riding like the Box and North Point, Sucky Beachies, they just seem to really respond well as far as like dropping into a heavy wave and being able to come fast off the bottom and shoot down the line. Yeah, and being able to look up at a lip and have a really good response coming off the bottom to get up to the section quick. Yeah, and because at that point, that's where the sport was going, you know. We went from late 90s where it went from GOB, a lot of contests and small grovelly stuff, and the guys were still riding big boards at that stage, to fast forward to 2000, 2001, where it went to like Chopu and Shark Island, and you know, once you're riding a barrel and the waves is completely down the line and heavy, you know, you don't need a board that floats because you're going that fast that you're just trying to control the thing, and that's where a smaller, narrower board responds better. And also back then it was PE as well, which
exactly
is another factor.
Yeah, definitely, because that was a much more flexible. It broke down just a lot faster, right? Those cores, because that was one of the interesting things for me when I came back into bodyboarding 3 years ago. I was like, what kind of board do I want? Oh, I want a PE with a stringer, because that's what I was doing 10 years ago, and it was like they didn't last long, but they were amazing boards. And Polypro was this kind of weird, you know, kind of budget material. It was too light. It didn't really have everything you wanted, but that's all completely flipped now too. Like it seems like most boards are predominantly polypropylene or a certain type of it with stringers, which was like a no-no back then. I was like, you putting a stringer in that? It's already too stiff. And like, so there's been a lot of interesting changes. And you know, Mitch now, in conversations I've had with him, he's saying he's committed to this 43. Like that's his minimum size in this 4 to 6 foot range. Are you on the same page now as well? Like for you, it's like you can't even imagine going smaller at the moment?
No, I've tried it like when I'm in Bali on my camp, so I'll jump on a mate's smaller board. They might have one of my boards, like a Hardy Shapes and 42 or whatever, and I just feel like my style gets sucked in, and I'm like real far at the front of my board, and I have to really cramp myself to do, say, a reverse or trying to make a backflip is quite hard because the landing has to be so precise because the board's smaller. And like you were saying before, when you're going for a spin and you don't have that much speed, then you're going to bog down halfway through the spin.
Exactly.
Because you don't have quite as much speed going into it. and as you're losing speed through the spin, if you've got a little bit less board under you, then it's just going to sink.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what I found happened through that transition of going up in board size is my style adapted with it. So I generally ride a little bit further back and a little bit lower, especially through driving turns and turning up to the lip than I would have back when I was riding my 42.
Yeah, you're a bit more erect in your, a bit
totally.
more towards the front. Yeah.
When I was back on my 42s, I was more at the front of my board and a bit more erect. Yeah, it's like it throws your shoulder. You've got to compact yourself to suit that board. And I feel better now that I'm lengthened, I'm stretched out, and I'm finding more drive from that. I'm finding that this longer board seems to suit my physique better, and I'm getting more speed out of it, and my chance of making air moves and always having more speed is like the benefits I'm feeling from it. Yeah.
There's also this element you touched on where like you're actually thinking about stand-up bodyboarding and you're thinking about drop knee as well, and like this definitely wasn't the Ryan Hardy of the the early 2000s to even to the mid teens. You know, like you're very much a prone. Well, you could always drop knee, that's for sure, and you could always ride a surfboard too. But you never really put time into it. But now, do you find like what's that all about? You now thinking about these things. Where does that come from?
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. Because when I was saying I was back on my 42s getting the customs, I was so prone driven. That. As far as I wanted to be one of the best riders in the world, and that meant going on the super tour. It meant riding all these heavy waves. It meant doing things like spins in the pit, which suits where a smaller board suits that as well.
Exactly.
And whereas fast forward to today, where I'm doing my camps is where I'm in the water the most, and I want to be having fun with the guys in the water, and for that for me means nowadays being versatile and not just being. My mindset's different. I'm not just prone. I want to, I'm trying to become this rider. Now it's like, I just feel more, I'm just relaxed with it. I'm just going with the environment I'm in, the waves, the people I'm with. And I want to be able to drop knee if I feel like that. I want to be able to stand up boogie if I feel like that. Like, so it's a real, going by feeling and the conditions and wanting to have the best time, not being constricted. Yeah.
Part of this whole, because having the best time is kind of like maybe the key phrase in all of that, like when it comes to your riding, it seems at the moment. Because there was a period, and I remember we had a good chat a few years ago in WA over a beer after the terrible Mandurah wedge comp that was like half a foot. That was my big introduction back to competitive bodyboarding.
Yeah.
But like we had a chat, and you did say like one of the things that got you kind of really wound up and kind of led to a lot of kind of issues for you was you had this real precise focus on your riding, and you were really like analytical to almost like to a depth that was unhealthy.
Yeah.
Is this part of the response is that the journey that you've been on since kind of that issue for you? Like, and I'm referring to the mental health issue. You've already spoken about it a lot elsewhere, so we don't have to dive into it. But like, is the riding approach part of this journey back to just I'm having fun?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, what really fascinates me now, doing my camps and making close relationships with the guys and watching their riding and helping them to become better riders if that's their goal, or just having a good time in the water with them if that's their goal when they're on holidays, and the psychology behind how a person's riding and what they're going through in their head and in life, like it's so closely related. And so coming through that period, reflecting on it now, what was going through our mind was totally reflected to what was happening in the water and how good of a time I was having. And there was a point where we talked about in WA that I was so deeply obsessed and thinking so much about being the best rider that I could and having the best equipment and potentially winning a world title that was almost all that my mind was going towards. So I'd be constantly thinking about my board if it was performing for me, constantly thinking about if my moves I was working on were perfect. And I remember one wake up call was when I was surfing at Budge with Winnie, and this is around tension days, and he was always someone that could very naturally talented and just could, without even thinking, he could just go out and rip and make it look good.
Yep.
And I was
Damn
surfing
him.
a budge, and I was yeah. No, good on him. Like that's it. He was a good influence.
Yeah.
And I was up at the beach at home in WA, and I think we might have been filming just a smaller fun session. I was bouncing between boards, and I guess he could just see that I was just so serious, like so focused in, and then I was, and I come out in the water, and he's like, "Oh, you're so Paul Sirenen," which is a phrase at the time from a sports guy that had that name. It was just a name, a funny thing to say if someone was
So
serious, and
yeah.
it kind of just it stuck with me, and it just made me, especially afterwards, realise shit. Yeah, I was very serious, but I still think it was a positive experience because I thought about things so deeply across so many different facets, like the equipment, different things I could be doing on the wave, how I could be in best shape for the comps. Like I learnt so much through that period, but it did take me to a dark place. And so coming through that, and when I got to my darkest point where I became ill with bipolar and had to do time in the psychiatric unit and had to have months off going through a depressive period and have a break from anything stimulating, coming through out of that and being able to reflect on how serious it got and where that took me, then I really went on a journey of, okay, I really feel like now it's a time to free myself from that and be happy with where that's taken me to as far as like my riding level and my opportunity to be traveling again and be with my friends and live this dream lifestyle without that burden. And that was like when I returned to the tour for like 2009 and then got the IBA years to be able to really enjoy that and just let my riding be free and not be so a little bit tainted by over analysis and being obsessive, and so I really had a really good time through those years, through the IBA years, and I was also on medication through that period, which helped sort of slow my mind down a little, which was positive through that time, I think. That was just a part of that period, and then coming through all that and going into the coaching and running camps beyond the competing and reflecting on the trips I did and the travelling and the competing and the being a world tour competitor and being a high profile rider, the core thing through that whole time was always this part of life which was just incredibly fun and rewarding and giving you a big buzz. And so that's how I look at bodyboarding now, is this thing that just keeps me stoked and healthy and keeps me feeling young, and that's something I can pass on to all the guys that come to my camps. And so I just feel that the whole thing was a positive experience, but it did take me to dark places at times, but it was a very good learning experience, and I have all the knowledge and experience now because of the way my mind is. Like that's just so nowadays now I'm sort of learning to ride this new wave of figuring out what this mental health thing is since about a bit over a year ago, just slowly coming off my medication. And so I'm like learning, okay, so this is how my mind works. Like, how am I going to turn this into a strength? How am I going to be able to live with this disorder, as it's called, bipolar disorder? How am I going to become... how am I going to be able to keep order within this disorder and use it as a strength and inspire people through that? Not just through my bodyboarding, but just through how I can use my mind as a positive, and the way it goes so deeply into things and it makes me so sensitive and feel and think so much.
I think it's an interesting thing because I know, like, looking at the journey, because I was part of it when I was a bystander during your these days when you're saying it was obsessive, it was this deep analytical approach, and I feel like Mitch also went through that process as well. Like, when he went from the kid on the Manta board flipping out all over the place, and then he went on this journey with Mike Stewart and kind of refined everything, and that was like a years and years and years process of refining. And he's a bit obsessive as well. He's got the same kind of characteristics that you're explaining. I mean, for me, my problem is that I've never been obsessive enough. Like, for me, I've just kind of like, oh, well, that works, I'll stick with that.
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, I just want to heat with that, I'll stick with that. Like it's never been getting into that depth, and I feel like it's a really big benefit if you can survive it.
Yeah,
you know, like, and that's where you're at today. Like and I think Mitch is there as well. You know, like he's done his refine. It's like he's sharpened the blade, you know, over years, and you can sharpen that blade too much, and it starts to cut you every time you try to sharpen it.
Yeah. It's a good way
and
of
when
putting it.
you know now you've got this kind of today you've got like this sword that's ready to go, but you know how to be relaxed and free with it, and not cut yourself to bits in the process. So, do you feel like it is a necessary part of the journey? Because I'm feeling like it is if you want to get to the elite level.
I feel like it can definitely help. You know, it shows as a successful character trait. You know, through guys like myself and Mitch, that you know have gotten to this very elite level in our sport because of how self-analytical we've been, because of how obsessive we've been. You know, as far as time in the water over the years, and you know that carries across so many different sports. And it's like, you know, how successful can you become but still be healthy? You know? Because as soon as things become too stressful, but that's going to show, you know, emotionally, mentally, that's going to show physically as well. So, you know, as anything in life that you could try and find the optimum result from, it's all about balance. You know, so for me today, balance is like time in the water, time with family, pushing myself but still enjoying it, and reflecting on where I've come from, and using that experience and knowledge to put through in my coaching now, and now going on this journey with my mental health, which is fairly new. You know, coming off the medication, and it's like I'm back in that. I'm that bodybuilder again. That's very driven, very motivated, very self-analytical. But it's, you know, as me as a person with this mind that's very sensitive, and I'm trying to work it out, and I feel like that will really pay off for me, just like it did with bodyboarding. Although it's been very challenging, and it's something that I can, you know, aspire to get to a level that will influence other people that have suffered through mental disorders, and just everyday people that. You know, that go through things emotionally and mentally that affect them, and be a positive influence. And
with this, because there's this other side of you, like you say, like, so are you off medication completely now?
Not completely,
but you're on a journey off it.
Yes, yeah,
okay,
yep. So with my wife, like, so she's very health orientated, and she's done nutrition courses, and she's doing a naturopathy university course at the moment. She's been forever like my carer, and has forever had my best interests at heart. And it is my goal to eventually completely come off. Okay. But with a real team around me to sort of observe and encourage and just be on that journey with me. And my wife's a huge part of that. So the main one I came off was the mood stabilizer, which is sort of the number, which slows things down, slows the mind down. And then, so I eventually came off that, and then so now I'm just on medication at night, which helps me, which basically
switch the brain off so you can go to sleep. Yeah.
So that's sort of keeping me balanced for now, and that's working. And
So does that? Well, I'm just wondering, like, because this is a pretty serious journey. I've got other mates. I've got a very good friend who had a similar journey, and he's totally off it too. Okay. But he went down a pathway of like transcendental meditation, healthy eating, healthy lifestyle, lots of the good stuff, lots of water, lots of like monitoring what he's putting in his body. And it's been a big journey. And I mean, it sounds like you're actually being very the word, I guess, is structural about it around yourself. So you're talking about having a team, observing, feeding back, assisting. You know, like you've got like a bit of a cocoon around you in the process. Is this the strategy? Is this like, for you, what are the key elements you've learnt so far on this journey about coming off the medication? Like, what are the key maybe insights that you might be able to share with someone who's kind of in a similar stage and they're like, shit, I want to get off these mood stabilizers. I feel numb all the time. Like, What are you finding in your personal journey?
Yeah, well, for me, it's just not being trapped in my mind, you know. So the hardest part through the whole time was being trapped in my mind, which would make me stressed and make me feel a little bit alienated from my environment. You know, so now I've got this team, and I have part of my team is friends of mine that I'm constantly in contact with that have lived through the same disorder, or that have lived through other mental illness, and being able to be able to constantly like reach out and share how I'm feeling or what I'm going through, and being able to talk to someone that can relate to that, and just basically just not be stuck in this little shell, you know, because that's a place which has led to terrible things like suicides or real deep depression or anxiety, or people go on these manic sprees and spend all their savings and ruin relationships, and there's all these worst case scenarios. So I feel that by surrounding myself with this team and being really self-analytical, and I'm really like documenting, so journaling, what's happening as I go along. Because it just sort of seems and feels like not too many people have done this, so I feel like if I can really have a good go at this, then I can go on to coach and mentor and be a part of giving hope to the people in mental health community and in general, to be healthy emotionally and mentally, which goes completely transcendent into physically.
What are the benefits though of this like coming off these mood stabilizers? Because to me it sounds a little bit like, I mean, how do you describe it? How can you describe it to someone who has never experienced that type of medication? Like, how can you capture it?
It is quite easy to describe. So reflecting on, so I was on the mood stabilizer for 11 years, and it wasn't until I came off that I realised kind of what it was doing. And in the beginning, when I first went on it, and I went into a depression after what's called a manic period, where I was very high
just
energy.
Up. Inspiration everywhere.
Not sleeping much, very, in a high energy mood, your brain's going crazy with ideas and creativity, so mentally you've got super high energy, which also transcends into physical high energy. So you feel like, so you got all these ideas, and you're feeling so physically active, so you want to do so much, and you feel invincible, like you're feeling so high. And the longer that goes on, the longer the crash is going to happen afterwards.
Oh, right. So it's it's proportional. The up is proportional to the down,
which I'm working at now as well. And that happened.
But then, so the mood stabilizer. What's the feeling?
So reflecting on the 11 years that I had, it just basically felt like it sort of normalised me. So as far as being in social situations, or the way I think about things or feel about things, it puts me in a spectrum of what felt like feeling normal. So not getting too extreme in how high I felt as far as creativity and inspiration of mind, and stoked physically, and then at the same time not feeling as anxious about things, not getting as angry and easily agitated. So basically so I feel like on that whole time through mood stabilizers, whatever happened in life, I wasn't too overly affected.
But that doesn't sound great to me at all.
Right.
It sounds like good if you're coming off the big peaks and troughs of manic and then down into the depression. But it also feels like it might be this cloudy state of indifference or ambivalence to a circumstance.
But I mean, the mind and body has a way of so desensitizing a little bit as you're on it over time. So you do. So it definitely felt like I had a great life and I lived within a good scale of feelings and sensitivities. But once I came off it, and my world of sensitivity just opened up so much. As far as all my senses just feeling alive, but and my mind just
speeding up
so much more. And getting so much more insights and creativity, but at the same time I was also very easily agitated,
Coming off the mood stabilizers.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, totally, yeah. And,
Okay.
and you know, very sensitive to my environment, and so I'm sort of slowly learning, like with seeing mentors and gurus, psychiatrists, psychologists, energy workers, which work with your emotional things that have happened in life and mental things which affect you physically, and learning a lot from them, and so I'm sort of learning to control a little bit how sensitive I am to environments.
Yeah.
So imagine that I go into an environment where I'm surrounded by angry people, there, and that could really spark me to become very, very angry very quickly and easily. But through learning techniques, through certain people, it's about sort of turning your energy inwards and being able to have a breath and learn to control that environment, so you don't become the energy that's around me. So that's something I'm really trying to learn at the moment. In living with these sensitivities.
It sounds like also in moments of joy, a joyous moment. It sounds like you can have a better time then. Like that. Like,
well, it feels like.
How does that feel?
I mean, it feels like a lot of the time I have to sort of suppress myself to not just seem too wild and crazy with how I
joy.
really feel, Yeah. And in the same respect with agitation and anger. I have to really find myself controlling the way I feel, So it's nice to surround myself in an environment and people where I can, especially on that high end, where I can really feel that energy and get a real high and say, put all that into my... And I know that in the past, particularly when I was younger, that energy went into my surfing.
Yeah, the stoke of it all and things like that.
And how creative I could be on the wave.
Exactly. This is kind of where I was going with this, because I feel like there are benefits to being manic sometimes, right? If you've got the manic state, I'm just assuming, because I don't know where I fit on any spectrum of these things. Maybe I need to get a diagnosis, but I assume, well, I know only from my own experience, if I'm surrounded in the water by top performing people in critical waves, I change to that
It's a
surrounding. So
totally.
it's like a positive force. If I can come up to their level in my own sensitivity to the moment, I'm going to be better at what I'm doing, and I get this in you get this in the competitive environment. I think a lot. You're at front on for a comp, and you see guys doing stuff, and you're like, man, that was sick. Oh, I gotta do that too, and that big wave. Okay, So like, there's a positive element there, but would you say the mood stabilizers, like, did they cut off a bit of that for you, and it affected performance in those moments, like, say, competitive moments or whatever?
I'd say, like, just because I had a lot of good years and some of my titles, through like when I won Pipe in 09 and Ireland in 2010.
This is on the meds.
Right. So I feel like it's not that inhibiting.
Okay.
But it feels like, coming off it now, that potentially my energy capabilities could be greater. The potential is greater, just being in a natural state, not being medicated. But,
so there is an upside there.
There's potential there, which I'm sort of trying to find out. This and it's cool for me. It's exciting. But then, there's the worrying side where where tragedies have happened because of the vulnerability that a person that's lived with a mental disorder has when their thoughts go to a negative side.
Of course, go down that way,
and then all sorts of negative things can happen. So it's like, almost the biggest part of this journey is for me is how can I best control when things go into the negative, when they go into feeling low, when they go into feeling angry or feeling anxious. How can I best deal with that and be supported in that time? Whereas when the mood's high and the energy's high, that's the nice time. So things are good and you're feeling amazing. So it's like okay, that's sort of the easy part. But then in a person that can become quite ill and they become too high and delusional, they can start thinking they're the supreme being and not worry about things.
The Messiah stuff that people go through, right?
And they just start spending credit cards and just going way out there and they lose friends and lose families, and that's a bad side as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But,
can you like, is it really possible, like, in your opinion at this point in your journey, like, is it possible to really have one without the other? Like, can you focus on reducing the negative while allowing the positive to be a little bit more, or is it a balance that you simply can't escape? Yeah,
that's a really good question, and that's sort of the main thing I'm trying to explore is so what's the healthy level of high that I can get to, because in that high mood for anyone is the time where you can sort of achieve anything you desire to achieve, you know, whether it's sporting or with your mind and with your intelligence, or as a performer, you know, like sing, dance, anything creative, anything to do with your work, you know, with high energy, when you're really on, you know, thinking and physically you've got so much potential. Totally. You know, that's a place that anyone would want to get to. So so how can I like achieve that with being able to deal with the aftermath, which is what I've experienced in the last year, is real tiredness, low moods, which is a place where you often think about low or sad things that have happened in your life, and you know, how can you get through the aftermath, the low periods, as well as you can, and not suffer, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And not have bad things happen. Yeah.
I did say during our surf this morning that we weren't going to dwell too much on the mental health discussion. Here we are 30 minutes in and it's been dominant, but I think to bring it back around to what we kind of discussed, and these are a couple of questions that came through the DM on Instagram, and thanks to everyone who threw questions out there. That's really helpful, and hopefully I can get some answers for you. One of the things that came through is there's this foundational... What's it called? Foundation
training.
Okay, foundation training, and also the fact that you're a vegan now as well. Now, I'm making the big assumption that these have a lot to do with your journey in the mental health space. I'm assuming that much.
Yep.
Tell the audience, like, where does this foundational training come from, and what is it all about, and why is it important to you now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, it's definitely... I mean, it's mental health related, but the way I look at mental health is it's completely intertwined with physical health. Mental potential is physical potential. And this foundation training came about when, so it's originally training that was born in the States maybe about 5 years ago, and the head trainers came out to Margaret River in WA, and my wife sort of suggested I should go along to this thing, so it's like, I think I might have been having a few little back problems at the time, and it was supposedly really good for remedy for sore backs, and it's like a stretching way of sort of building the body up to become strong and invincible, basically, and strong from injury. And as soon as I went to the classes, I just felt results straight away, and just felt like, this can really stretch out any tired areas I've got and make me strong from the core to be able to go into whatever activity I want. Okay. And so I just followed it from there. Kept doing like private sessions with some of the US trainers that came out, and then followed it up, last January, about a year ago, did the actual level 1 training course to become a foundation trainer, and like bring that into my bodybuilding camps, and just see where it goes. And so now I'm like halfway through my 50-hour training hours to become certified. And so I'll be doing that in my Bali camps this year. So that's a new addition to the Bali camps. It's a new addition. It's just like, as I'm going along with this journey, I just feels like the more feathers I can get in my cap, the more I can offer to people to get in that mental, physical strength that everyone has the potential to get. You know, that's just another feather in the cap to be able to allow people to see their potential of what their mind and their body is capable of if they really make the effort, you know, especially for people as they're getting older, you know, because you look at teenagers, early 20s, which is something you'd be able to reflect on as well, and think about how that you are literally invincible at that time.
I was invincible for sure.
You can just throw your body at anything, and it recovers so quick and repairs so quick, but as you get older and you go that hard, and your body takes longer to repair, and injuries take longer, and anything you can do can give yourself the more potential to still get to that energy level of a young person, but be able to sustain it and do and feel good, you know, and that's part of the vegan thing as well. So
yeah, well, and about that is that purely the health impact on your body that you're coming to that conclusion, or are you trying to save the pigs and the cows from the slaughterhouse? Like, where does it fit for you? Because people have many different motivations for going down that path, and so what does it mean to you?
Yeah, totally. Well, for me, I mean, anything I've ever done that's related to my physical condition is always kind of comes back to bodyboarding.
Yeah.
And being the best rider that I can be. So whether it's like whatever activity outside of bodyboarding that I can do to give me the best possible physical shape and the best potential for performance, then I'm going to give it a crack.
Yep.
And about a year ago, my wife in Bali started with her vegan diet, and she was watching these documentaries, and I remember she was trying to get me to get into it. Like, she was quite full on with it, and that of course kind of turns you away. But like, if your mum's trying to make you do something real full on, you kind of get pushed away. But she kept playing these documentaries in the background when I was around the house. And
this is that environmental stimulus that you're more sensitive to now.
Mind's more open, you know. I'm doing 3 things at once.
So she's manipulating your journey out of the off the mood stabilizers. Okay, so she's influencing you.
Yeah,
cool.
But these documentaries are just making sense, and in a performance way, as well as it being good for the environment and all those things. And so in the beginning, I just thought, well, I'll just give this a crack for a couple of weeks as an experiment. Yeah, like see how that goes. And that couple of weeks turned into 5 months as an experiment. Yeah. And it was a real struggle to start with that anyone would experience that's had a go at it. As far as missing old flavours, feeling full and content off the meat and the dairy and stuff like that. Yeah. But just instinctively, I just felt I've just got to keep going with this. There's parts of it that feel good. Like the main part that felt good for me, I was doing this during my bodyboard camps, and I'd have a fairly decent meal, and it felt like I just wasn't that full, but it meant that I felt like I could go surfing straight away. Interesting. And that in itself is like, whoa, this is different. This is cool.
That goes against every feeling. I think anyone with a traditional diet, the thought of getting straight into some high intensity exercise after a meal, one of your big meals of the day, is just you can't do it. And you're saying like veganism for you has resulted in this kind of like, I ate, I'm nourished, let's go climb a mountain, let's go surf out there.
You're not packing yourself with this big heavy meal of meat and processed foods that especially again once you're older, your body has to use a lot of energy to go and digest all that food and send it off to the muscles and all around the body to store energy and to repair. And if you have these natural foods which can be broken down so quickly and go straight to energy storage, then and you don't need so much energy to break the foods down and to digest them, then you're kind of almost good to go straight away. So that was a real draw card for me. That was the kind of good results I felt straight away. And then as I went along, I just found that the cravings for the old food I had went away. And one of the most interesting things was when I'd go to have, say, yogurt, like dairy foods or meat again, and just to sort of see how it felt as part of this experiment. I'm still treating it as an experiment. And I would have sweets like lollies or a little bit of cake or something, and I'd just feel rank afterwards. The difference of eating natural whole foods compared to processed, like high sugar, just highly tampered with foods, it's just amazing, like how much better you feel and how much better the body responds to these natural foods. And again going down that journey, and me being the obsessive person I am, I just went really obsessive with how natural and how anti-processed foods I went. And just the more I went down that path, the better I felt, and the more rank things tasted or felt in my body when I'd go back to having processed foods or sampling little bits of things here and there just to see what it felt like. And just like physically felt really good from it. And I just learnt along the way what did fulfill me, like what filled me up, what gave me good energy, what foods particularly I responded
Yeah.
well with, and what my body responded well with as far as storing energy for endurance.
Yeah.
And for example, I really found that oats work really well for me in the mornings, like
Yeah.
porridge, granolas, and then at lunch like brown rice meals.
Yep.
And then for dinner sweet potato meals, and then thickening sort of additives like avocado,
Yep.
tahini, olives, stuff that really like thickens meals, because I was so used to I ate a lot when I was younger, like filling thick juicy meat meals, and throw some melted cheese on there, and and a lot of coconut products as well. Like,
Right.
I feel like I learned over that year and a half what in the end would satisfy me and keep my energy levels up, and I feel like in that sort of short amount of time I really discovered how good I felt from it, and how much how well my body responds to it. Yeah.
I mean, looking at you today, you honestly don't look any different to you did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like you've got exactly the same physical build. You don't, your body fat percentages must be almost the same as they were when you were 20.
Yeah.
Did you ever have that blowout?
Or when I first went on the medication, which that is quite normal, that when people go on medication
Put on some
for
weight,
mental health, that it does slow the system down, and it makes them crave food. And when you're in that lower state, you do go to food
as a comforting
feel-good thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
As a feel-good thing. So that puts the weight on as well. And I guess like going down the vegan route plus coming off the medication, which has lifted my metabolism a bit. I just really feel in good physical condition. Mixing the foundation training in with my bodyboarding, and just being on top of how much activity I'm doing versus how much rest I'm doing that I need, being 40 now. I just feel like it's been a cool journey to be analytical of, to see how I can get the best result from my body's performance at the age I'm at, and setting that up going forward. Yeah.
If you were to kind of give yourself a rank out of 10 today about how you're feeling across these kind of key things you're doing in your life to kind of represent your overall sense of well-being and performance and things like that, where are you at in your own opinion out of 10?
It's a good question, and it's a question that I've been brought up with some of my like psychologists and energy workers and stuff, and I've just sort of always instinctively just shot 10 back straight away. Just
because, so you're on 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I just feel like, if you don't feel like you're 10 out of 10, well, you're kind of wasting your time. And if you're not feeling strong yourself, then how can you give that strong energy to your family or to your friends or to the people that you want to lift around you? So I'm like looking after myself the best I can, so that I can be 10, that I can be the best version of myself, to give the best version of myself to my family, which is my priority, and then give the best version of myself to my sport, to wherever it is in life that I want to inspire other people, and make the most of this life.
That you kind of led me into the next question about, like, kind of in relation to this, and it's like all of the things you're doing can be kind of perceived through, this is Ryan Hardy looking after Ryan Hardy, which is cool. Like, great. Everybody wants you to be healthy. Like, all the fans want you to be healthy. All the fans want to see you perform at your best. And you want to do that on a personal level. But on top of that, you've got this purpose, this external purpose, which is really interesting to me, because you're allowed to not give a shit about anyone else. Like, you can go on, like, foundation training, veganism, feeling great, doing good stuff. But on top of that, there's this extra layer that's kind of like, I want to deliver something out there. You're saying things like, I understand the family bit, of course, you want to be the best husband, best father, like, of course that makes sense. But beyond that, it's kind of like an extra offering that you're putting out there. Why does that matter?
Yeah, well, it's for me, it's like something that just oozes from my mind and my heart's desire. Like, especially since my mind has become more active through going through this journey, having kids, raising kids, but particularly in the mental health side of things, as I've become to as I've become more entrusting in my mind and believing more in where my mind's taking me, you know, like the visions I have and the way that my inner voice speaks to me, you know, I've really learning to listen to that, and you know, it really is a strong driver to listen to your, you know, where your thoughts take you, where your inner voice leads you. And for me, it's like just doing bodyboarding and bodyboard coaching is not enough, you know. Just being a dad and a husband is awesome, but it's not enough for where my mind goes, you know. Like it just is forever constantly driving me kind of beyond just the normal things, and you know, I'm gaining trust in that, and it's exciting to follow that. And yeah, it just takes me to, you know, wanting to lead and inspire and lift other people in the process of looking after myself. Yeah.
It's just interesting because you couldn't be just excused for just focusing in on the couple of things that matter to you and
I mean, like, you know, so I could.
But there's something bigger above it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You know, like I could quite easily kind of just do the bodyboard camps and focus on my family and you know, just do the things that make me feel good, and you know, that would probably be sweet, but it's not enough.
It's not enough.
Like, yeah, the thoughts that I have through my head and how much my heart feels empathy for things, you know? Like,
okay.
It's just ridiculous how much empathy I feel with how sensitive I am, and to not follow through with you know, feeling empathy for people that suffer with mental health, feeling empathy for people, say, like the Indigenous people in Australia, and the fact that they've have mental health issues, and you know, I've read a lot on their history and how much they were thriving in Australia before, and you know, my heart really goes out to those people, and then that's just scratching the surface, you know. Like, you know, all I need to be doing is driving my car for 10 minutes or washing the dishes, and my mind goes beyond as far as like visions and thinking beyond just what my present life is. And it's exciting for me to dive into that, and that's been part of my journey, is diving into my emotions, and not because, you know, going through the whole mental health journey, and this is quite across the board, that you have to challenge where your thoughts are going. So for a lot of people, it's blocking where your thoughts are going, which is fair enough when people have gone through a negative thought process or path, and that's landed them in jail. It's landed them to a tragic place. Yeah. Which is fair enough, but
block those if you can. Like, it's understandable, you know, like, to work that way.
That does have to be worked with, but when your mind's going to places that you want to empower people and you want to make the world a better place, then I'm not going to block that out. So that's, you know, where I'm going from here is I don't see myself doing bodyboarding full time. You know, I see it as a part-time thing. It's a way of me still staying connected with the sport and keeping me stoked, but you know, spending quite a bit of my time going towards the mental health world, and using my experience from that part of my life to you know, lift other people's lives. And it's just so intertwined with bodyboarding. Like, I just know that I'll be forever bodyboarding because of you know, what it's given me in my life, and what it can give to other people's lives of all ages going forward from here. That's kind of just where I'm going from now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like bodyboarders too, generally, you know, we're a pretty emotional group of people in many ways. You know, all of us know the experiences of being a bodyboarder. Like, I mean, it's the closest I've maybe said this before on the podcast, but it's about the closest I can ever experience as a white man in Australia to experiencing prejudice and like some kind of racial abuse. Like, because, you know, surfers have treated us really badly. Like, in society in general, just looks at us and goes, why do you do that again? Like, why aren't you standing up? You know, we've had to deal with this in our whole lives. So I feel like, as far as bodyboarders benefiting from what you're willing to give out there to them and to broader beyond the bodyboarding community, but bodyboarders in particular, like, I'm sure it's a really positive force for them. And because we have had to deal with a lot of crap as young people, particularly bodyboarding, it's been this rebellious thing. It's been this thing that others don't understand, and we've been called all kinds of names. And it's it's an interesting group of people because I find we're exceptionally passionate, and to stick to something in the face of all that adversity, it's easy not to bodyboard. You just stop it. Yep. And you go and pick up a different board, and everybody looks at you differently.
Yeah, you don't cop the shit anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's an easy solution, but we don't, and we put up with it, and maybe some of us process it, some of us don't so well. So I think there's people on spectrums there about how have they dealt with the abuse over so many years.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to hear that that's a big part of you, is that to help lift others up. I think it's beautiful, of course. But where does it fit? Because I want to bring it back into the bodyboarding world, like this whole idea of your kind of journey you're on now. You're mixing mind and body and trying to find the optimum Ryan Hardy, and you're on 10s already, which is great. So you competed in Fronton 2 years ago, 3 years ago now.
Yep.
And you finished 7th, I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
7th. Yeah.
So like first comp back in maybe...
I did Fronton 2 years in a row.
Okay, so you turned up to Fronton 2 years in a row.
2 comps I did, yeah.
But that's it?
Yeah.
Nothing else?
Little club.
Little clubby
comps.
stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
But no,
hanging around, having fun.
Yeah.
To finish 7th in that competition, in those waves, and to just kind of obliterate competitors along the way who are doing it like as their main focus in life, like... I know that when you finally lost, when you were knocked out, you were annoyed.
Yeah.
You weren't happy. You went, oh well, that's life. You were kind of like, damn it, I wanted to keep on going.
Yeah.
So now that you're in this kind of space where you're kind of, because you're a different guy from then to now, right? A lot has happened in those 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, where does the competitive landscape fit for you? Like, is it something that you can indulge in and justify within this current trajectory for you? Because I'm sure people listening and watching this will be like, fucking please, mate, can you turn up to a comp? So where does it fit for you?
Yeah, well, I just definitely like, so with the journey I'm on, I'm really exploring like, okay, so what's possible in these high moods that I can dive into?
Yeah.
And I know that, since forever, bodyboarding, and especially competing with bodyboarding, is where I've reached kind of my highest energy potential. And so for me that's exciting, and I'd definitely love to compete again whenever the opportunity arises, and see how that feels like, see what comes of that, and that's exciting to think about, and I'm definitely leaving that door open.
Cool.
And just seeing what comes up, what's possible, and I'd still love to be involved in the sport and particularly on the ground roots level, with my coaching, and I'm aspiring this year to set up bodyboard coaching courses, and I'm really looking at working closely with Surfing Australia in connecting all the clubs of Australia and making the sport strong in that aspect. But as far as keeping myself healthy through being vegan and foundation training and mixing the mental health, knowing that turns into physical health, this is all part of prolonging my best physical condition, and knowing that competing in bodyboarding is like one of the funnest things and the most exciting things I can do. I think it's inevitable that I'll compete again. I'm kind of constantly having visions of me competing at certain places like Chile or Fronton, and I dive into that. I think that'd be awesome if that happens again.
How do you imagine it though? Like, I mean, do you have because I'm assuming that with this current kind of the reduction of the mood stabilizers, the embrace of the sensitivity that you have to the world, and then enabling yourself to visualize probably in vivid detail. I imagine that your visions are like the most detailed visions ever. But like, are you winning? Are you and does this translate into confidence where you're like, yeah, if I turn up, I can win this?
It's no, I don't really think about the winning and the desire to win like I once did. It's more the moment, like, wow, I wonder what could be possible if I got in this competition environment, feeling healthy like I do, and feeling just driven and just electrified in the moment. And I wonder what would be possible there, and how good that could feel, and how good I could perform, and what impact that would have on people to be witness to that. And particularly for me to have if I had a really crazy performance and at this point in my career, like how good would that feel? And then to that afternoon going to a coaching course with Groms from that country, like, you know, I'd just be on cloud 9. It'd be the biggest high ever.
So it's both still, like, it sounds like there's almost an equal weighting there on
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you know, like the coaching and mentoring and bodyboarding and in mental health, like that at the moment I'm as driven on that side as I am to compete. But I know that for me to jump in the water competing, I would have more energy just pumping through my body than doing the kind of, you know, philanthropy, humanitarian things, which is all feel good, and yes, I'll get pumped up doing that, but I know that nothing would pump me up more than competing in sick waves with the best bodyboarders. So that will naturally attract me to do that again. But as far as like, you know, world title aspirations or wanting to win contests, that's not really in my radar. Like, I feel like I'll kind of leave that to the moment.
Yeah.
You know? Like I'm
you just want to
excited
perform.
I just want to feel that again.
Yeah.
I just want to feel that.
Yeah.
And see what happens. And then, you know, the thought of going away on a trip with friends again, like that would be really cool.
Like just like a video, do a clip, or like actually go and compete in the free surfing environment. Yeah. I think there's a lot to that as well.
Yeah.
Oh well, cool. I'm sure there's some fans listening who are electrified by this news. I'm sure as hell like happy to hear it, but I don't want to heat with him in this electrified state. I'd prefer some other deal there. But no, that's really cool to hear. Coming back to the career stuff, we're kind of at the hour point. We could talk for another hour easily. But coming back to kind of, I wanted to go through like if there's any kind of key moments that were defining in your life with the bodyboarding career. And one of the ones I wanted to start with is like, and maybe it does, obviously it'll translate back to the mental health journey a little bit, but like that Tahiti Skins competition, 2000, yeah, you won it. Yep. How old were you when you won that?
I was 20, so I was 21 in November that year.
Okay, all right. So that was outrageous, right? Like, where does that moment, and in particular that, I want to start with the moment, and then I want to go into that spin in the barrel, which really defined that moment in many ways. How did that really feel for you if you cast yourself back there again? Like, what was going on?
Well, I when you say how does that feel, that takes me back to the moment where, so the final had been surfed, I came in to the shore, and Stuart, I think Mike Stewart was on the same boat or another boat. We came back to the jetty, and I remember him coming up to congratulate me, you know, after he's just, you know, I'd won and he'd lost, and it was just surreal. And he came in, gave me a handshake and a hug, and I was just like bawling, just like on the biggest high, just not knowing what the fuck had just happened. And I just remember that whole afternoon, I was just like tingling, like so high naturally from what had just happened. And I know now that was literally like an elevated manic state with how high I was feeling.
Exactly.
You know? And so, you know, that performance through that whole day with that environment, you know, the world's best.
Yeah, and it was really the world's best at the time. There was no one missing really
so
from
many
that.
elements. You know, had the media at that time was the most covered media event as far as photographers. Red Bull TV, I think,
exactly.
did it. You know, full media boat, and you know, just that whole environment just totally lifted me to become this. But I remember going into the final being quite overwhelmed.
Right.
You know, like I had my goal sheet that I'd read every night that I was in Tahiti that 2 weeks prior, saying that I wanted to get first in that contest. You know?
Oh, okay. That was on the sheet.
Very, very driven. Yeah.
Okay, this is the analytical deep. Yeah, like this is already the beginning.
And this was a really motivated young 20-year-old with a dream. You know, wanted to be a superhero, wanted to be one of the best riders in the world. I've grown up watching all these riders like Mike and Steve McKenzie and Guilherme Tamaga, and you know, wanting to be them, like wanting that feeling of being one of the best in the world. And so, my goal of winning that contest, although a little sort of unrealistic at that time, given that I was an up-and-comer against the world's best and my biggest idols. Yeah. And so when it got to the start of that final, and I'm in the water, and there's Mike and Tamaga, two of the like monsters of our sport, that I've seen in Hawaii just pushing the level so high. And you're seeing them so serious, you know, as the finals just started, like paddling ahead of me, it was like, oh, this is just surreal. Like I just kind of don't really
Where
feel
do I
like
fit in this moment?
Yeah, I'm just feeling a little bit like starstruck and weakened a little bit.
Yeah.
But then I hear the Aussies behind me in their boat like yelling out like, "Go hard balls, go, come on!" And then that sort of lifted me up. And then I remembered my goal sheet.
Yep.
And then I switched on focus. And I was like, "All right, I'm here. Like this is the chance. This is what I came here to do." So get in line.
Were you last in line?
Wave. I was last in line. I wasn't going to go hassle my
and that's a key difference between you and I. That's a key difference between the two of us.
Has come up to reasons that I haven't gone on to win a world title. But in this contest, it worked for me because I sat wider and actually picked up a good first wave.
That was a barrel, right?
It was a barrel one.
Yeah.
And then after that, then I was feeling good. I was electrified in the moment. The Aussies were yelling at me, pumping me up. So I was like, all right, now I'll go and wait for my turn for the wave.
Yeah.
And sure enough, when it got to my turn that the other guys had got a set, then I was deepest and a big set came. And this was the moment, and I was so focused and pumped up. And things in that state, things kind of slowed down for me as far as seeing the swell come and being so focused and reading the wave coming in, trying to get deep, taking the drop, not thinking anything beyond.
You weren't thinking of...
Not thinking of spinning the barrel.
No? Okay.
No. It was just
on this wave? This is on the wave where you did the spin in the barrel. You're not thinking about a spin in the barrel?
No.
Wow.
Just trying to line myself up deep on the reef so that I was in a position that I could potentially get a deep barrel to get a high score.
Okay.
Yep. And then so it took quite a wave at Chopes. You'd be able to appreciate this. It's a heavy, fast-moving swell with a massive line on it. It looks like a closeout.
Yeah.
So the commitment to paddling to that wave. You're not just fluffing around, looking down the line, going, I wonder what it'll do.
No, you're not
down the line. You're just like head down, like you got to paddle as hard as you can to keep up with this this thick, fast-moving Pacific Ocean swell that's come from fathoms deep.
Yeah.
So I'm just head down, just like paddling hard to get a nice sort of smooth vertical drop under the ledge. And I take the drop, and so this is kind of the memory of this is such slow motion for me.
I'm sure.
I think because I was so high adrenaline, and I feel this can still happen nowadays, is when my adrenaline's so high, I have the ability to sort of calm myself and actually slow my heart rate down and be able to see things slower. And I remember having this talk with some of my campers about how that translates across to other sports, how some sports people seem to have more time in certain situations and be calmer and react better. So anyway, so I've taken the drop and in the bottom turn just had one probably half a second look at the line down the wave and the way it was wrapping on the reef, the position I was in. And so in that moment, like that flash, it was like, okay, I got space here that I could do a spin in time that I could keep my momentum going across the wave as I'm spinning, as the barrel's going over, and then make it through the last bit of the wrapping wall that I can see down the line. But for all that thinking to be happening that quick,
half a second
of a 8 foot heavy wave, that's it's some real high energy stuff going on there. So that's a really nice memory to think of, coming off the bottom, seeing a line of the wave and the barrel about to come over, and not there's no second thinking it's just reacting with all that intention and the electrified energy of the moment. And then through the spin that I've been practicing a lot months before that, not thinking I was going to do that. It's just what was happening at the time in my training. And it was popular in the world bodyboarding at that time, doing spins into the barrel with rivals like Kingy and Ben were doing really good at the time.
A lot of pocket surfing in that moment.
Yeah. And then through the spin, and while I was spinning again, it was super slow motion, like looking back, like really focusing on leaning it hard into my inside rail to make this, because I was going fast.
Exactly. It's an 8 foot wave.
And I'm coming off the bottom with a lot of speed, and I have to like jam it really hard so it turns that speed into a fast spin. So as I jammed into it, I've taken my eye off the wave because I'm focusing on all the pressure going in the top third of the board, leaning just enough, pressing hard enough that I don't release the spin and go into the roof. So it was all,
which is highly likely on this manoeuvre and this wave.
That's right.
That's what was so incredible.
Yeah, so high focus on that, putting the pressure in, leaning into it, and then release. And as I released, I was looking backwards into the barrel, which is this huge open space cabin. and then seeing in like 1,000 frames a second to slowly, like looking at that barrel behind me, slowly starting to look towards the mountains and seeing the lip coming over sort of in front of me, but way over, way past me. That's an incredible vision. And then so then the falling lip starts to turn into mountains and sky, and then into the looking out the barrel out to the channel. And then I just remember just like engaging so much tension to drive my shoulders forward, to keep the momentum going forward. And then there was a chandelier that I had to bust through, so I was so tense on my board at that time.
Holding on like with every
holding
bit.
on like, okay, I've got the momentum here, but I've got to get through this little chandelier. And then I'm feeling tense now just thinking of it. So then I'm
clenching my fists listening.
So I pushed through that and then came through that, and it's just like open air.
Yeah.
And then total release of tension. Like, I've made it. I've gone past the judges' boat, so they've seen me come out. And then then just came off the back of the wave. I knew I had to claim it for the skin score.
That's right. Yeah, that was that bit.
But it wasn't just like to lift the finger. It's like whole body release, throwing my arm up to the heavens, and it's hearing everyone exploding in the boats. And I felt like I just felt like I've just won. Like even though it was only halfway through, and you couldn't count out, Stuart and Tamaga and Alistair that still had time. But I just felt like that was what, as a kid, I wanted to do. I wanted to be one of the best riders in the world, and I felt like that wave had sort of just launched me there. And then beyond whether I won or not, even though I kind of felt like I'd won, I just felt so complete in that moment. So fulfilled. And I just like sat in the channel and I kind of just was barely watching what was going on because I was on such a high.
Oh, that's right, because you'd claimed your 2 waves.
Yeah, so
there was no more surfing.
Yep, I had to sit out of the water for
2 for 2
over 10 minutes.
Like 2 waves.
Yep. Yeah.
Did you have another one in between?
I had a warm up wave. The first wave was just a shitty shoulder. I think I was probably just warming up. Yeah. Shaking the nerves off.
Yeah.
And then I just had 2 waves.
2 waves back to back.
Yep. Then I sat
halfway through the heat.
Yep. Just past halfway, and then I sat in the channel, just sort of drifted out toward the horizon. I remember just getting a little moment, getting probably away from other people
the
supporting
Aussies who were
the
going
Americans,
crazy.
Americans and Brazilians.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then I came back in as I could see on my watch at the time was nearly done, and then the Aussie guys like Ben and Toby and Kingy and Tyson and Lester and the guys in the water sort of all circled me and counted down, and then like came and lifted me up. It's like, oh my god, from there and then coming in and getting hugged from Mike, and then doing the prezos and doing a talk, getting interviewed for TV and stuff. That was just all like a haze, like being on ecstasy or something. Not that I've done that, but from what I hear, like I was just euphoric. And that was definitely like the real moment of my career where I kind of felt like I achieved, like it's like I felt like if my career finished there, that was a dream fulfilled. Anything beyond that sort of a bonus. But obviously my career went on for a lot longer, and I had world title aspirations, and a lot more happened. But that was a huge moment.
Well, like obviously there is a lot more that happened after that moment, but I'm actually going to call this interview around here because we're at the hour 15 mark. This is one of the longest ones I've ever done. I think it's a nice little moment to kind of finish on, and it gives us space to have another one and more into the future. To kind of wrap it up, I've got two final kind of finishing questions. Like, what does the next 6 months look like for you? And maybe give the viewer an update, and they can kind of follow up, and if there's anything cool where they can get involved with you, whether whatever that is. And also, you got to tell me about this sound meditation again. What was that? Like, what was that all about? So, what are you doing? What do you want to start with? Sound meditation?
I'll
describe that quickly for us.
So you go.
Well, you had your vision of the 44-inch board.
It was, and I ended up calling it the Zen Boog. I got the board actually made as a 54-inch double blank that Mez made up for us, and I got the Zen symbol put on it, born from Ubud.
Okay.
And
epic.
Yeah, you get a massage, and then you stand in this bowl, and they like
in a bowl.
Yeah, for about 15 minutes you stand in this big kind of brass bowl,
right?
And there's meditation music going in the background, and they like bang this bowl with like a a metal spoon, I think, which gives it a vibration.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like we're talking like a wine barrel size,
Kind of like a massive salad bowl size, like you're standing in it.
human-sized salad bowl.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and you're sort
Learning
of up in
new
the mountains
things,
in the wood and
Yeah.
in the higher altitude and the tranquil air, the forest surrounds there, and you're just in this super meditative state, and that's where your mind and your creative mind just goes drifting.
Yeah.
And it just took me to
Zenboog.
to Zenboog, and that eventually, as Zenboog was a pretty good board, but it wasn't
54 inch. You said.
inch.
That's
It's an awesome board.
Yeah.
But it realistically wasn't the best versatile board, which is
Yeah.
kind of what I wanted
Okay.
ideally. So it led to
Chopping 10 inches off it.
Chop 10 inches off, and now it's the V-Punk Boog, which is a great, really fun, versatile board.
Sweet.
All born from a sound meditation.
Sound meditation in a big
Up in
brass
the wood.
bowl.
Yeah,
Human-sized
yeah.
salad bowl.
But I love any of that, Balinese massage,
Yeah.
sound meditations. I did in a board, they've got these big pyramids where you can do sound meditation healing sessions as well.
Yeah, right.
And just the place how relaxed and softened you can get, and the place your mind goes to in those moments. Is,
Epic.
I'd recommend it to
Sounds
anyone.
wonderful.
So nice.
Sounds
Yeah.
wonderful. Okay, well that's now I understand what the sound meditation is. And the final thing before we run out of battery on this GoPro, what's the next few months look like for you? Is there any updates? Anything cool to check out?
I'm just super amped on this year. What I'm basically looking at, my main priority that I've got locked in is the Bali camps between March and October.
Okay.
So I'll be going from where I live now in Pottsville, northern New South Wales. I'll be just flying up to Bali, doing my 2 weeks.
Yep.
Coming back for 3 or 4, basically doing that from March to October.
Yep.
And my family will be coming up for some of the school holiday stints.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so really looking forward to that, because Bali's just been amazing over the
Yeah,
years. Have
looks
such
like
a good
it's been fun.
experience there. Get fun waves, lots of surfing, and then continuing on with my foundation training, getting certified in that, and definitely spending time with trying to help set up clubs and working with Surfing Australia and the High Performance Centre that I live close to up in North New South Wales, and look at setting up bodyboard opportunities there.
Epic.
Yeah, and then also exploring the mental health world. Still doing talks where I can, and really wanting to connect with people in that side of things. And I've also been into Qigong when I've been up in Bali. That's a way of working on your, they call it flow of qi, or energy in the body, which can kind of be translated as your flow of blood in the body, and that's really ties in with the better your blood's flowing, the more that you're alive with your senses, and the better your body's healing and repair can be, and also activation of energy. If you've got really open flowing blood in your body from your heart to your extremities, then you imagine that you've got to react really quickly. Then that it can work so well for you in when you're in those electrifying
I was about
moments.
to say the electrified state can happen easier.
So I look at continuing my practice with Qigong and foundation training as a way of adding these feathers that can sort of optimize my own performance, and then go on to coach and mentor people with that, along with the mental health side of things, and just so I'm kind of like on this mission to help find the best version of myself, and then using that experience to offer to others. That's where I'm going in 2020.
Far out, man.
With a little bodyboarding the side. If I can get to a comp, great. I'm pumped, man.
Epic. Well, I'm stoked we've got this interview done. Thanks for dropping by. Really appreciate it, and can't wait to do it again.
Stoked,
Sure,
Josh.
everyone agrees.
Yeah,
Cool.
Epic to catch up, and I hope people are feeling electrified and excited from some of the stories and that, and take that into your day and get pumped. We'll see everyone in the water.
Beautiful.
Ooh.
Thanks,
Cheers,
mate.
Yeah.